how do you square the idea that we could lower the workforce after people have all these kids without increasing immigration to fill in those spots while people are on paternity or maternity leave, right? Even if it is like H-1B visas, right? How do you square that lowering the amount of people in the labor force, right? And then the other thing, making goods cheaper by artificially restricting immigration for this, in 20, 30 years when people that are having kids now through all these incentives, right? Uh, that's when the kids are going to enter the workforce, right? But in the meantime, right, how are you going to make goods cheaper by restricting immigration?
One of the things would be less remittances going, but that would lower the exchange rate, and that would make foreign imports less expensive while making our exports more expensive. And we're looking at people who
But
are having
remittances
children.
keep people in, like, remittances are one of the greatest ways for us to have people invest in their home countries that lowers our immigration rate.
No, that keeps them dependent on the people in our country, which de-incentivizes the people in the home country to work, and then just has a less labor pool for those countries. So then when they have kids, they now have to come back to our country to work to send more money to their families.
So,
But
wait, hold on. Are you saying that because we have people that immigrate to the United States and send some money back home to their family, that family doesn't work and they have a high unemployment rate that leads
I'm not
to
saying
like
that they
economic?
don't I'm not saying that they don't work, they often do work, but they need the remittances to help survive, and
Okay.
but that does also reduce labor, and that also reduces the labor
Mm,
force of people in that home country, requiring them to
okay.
not have jobs to come to our country
How
to not
does
work.
how does having an increased amount of money, which allows you to purchase more goods, not increase the demand for labor to sell those goods?
Because you don't have to work to purchase these goods anymore.
No. When these people, okay, you're saying contradictory things. Are these people working or are they not working?
Some of them are.
Okay. For any of these people that are getting remittances, how is it that when they receive money from people through remittances, right? And they go and purchase stuff, how is that not going to increase the demand for labor because there are people purchasing goods?
Well, sure, it might increase the demand for labor, but the labor's not there because they're coming to the United States because the labor
You're
opportunities are
This is
better.
circular logic. You realize that, right? They don't have enough labor, so they don't have enough people to sell their goods, but they have all this money that they're spending over there, and it's reducing the amount of money that we have in the United States. Like, all of these things are contradictory.
It's not reducing the amount of money, it's rising the exchange rates, which makes exports more expensive.
Okay, and so exports are from the United States or from their country? Sorry.
So if we have people in the United States sending money elsewhere, that increases the exchange rate. That means that now when the United States has to receive an export, that export is going to be cost more money. So more remittance equals higher exchange rate. Higher exchange rate equals a higher price of goods export that are exported. No, it'd be imports. Imports are what we're receiving from other countries. I'm sorry.
Ha Okay, explain to me how that works, because when we send m okay, so let's say that there's a guy that moves here from Mexico. Let's say it's legal immigration, right? He's a
Yeah.
doctor, right? And he gets, $100,000 per year, alright?
Hmm.
He sends 20,000 back home, right? And then that has to be converted into pesos. What happens to that $20,000?
I'm not sure what happens exactly to that $20,000. I imagine they keep it to exchange it somewhere else.
Yeah, so
I
generally
have a link
speaking.
here talking about remittances, and when remittance take money out of the U.S., it increases exchange rate, making U.S. exports cheaper for foreigners and making imports more expensive. Weaker currency stimulates imports and hurts exports. I
Yeah,
can link
can
that
you
for you.
I
Yeah,
would
yeah.
really appreciate that. Where did my thing go? Okay.
Go-
So, I yeah, no, so
Drawing
I
blanks
don't
here.
understand why people having money go into their country increases their, uh, increases our, import costs, and also, does the increase in our import costs is it negligible, or does it actually, or does the cost outweigh the benefits? Like,
I'm not sure at to which point they like how much exactly they increase, but when we see so like there's a I don't have it right in front of me. I can get it pretty fast though. But there's countries where like a large percentage of their economy and their GDP. There's one country, it's somewhere in the Middle East, where like 50% of their GDP is remittances alone.
We're getting
sure,
way off into the
yeah.
weeds now. Let's bring this back, if we could, to border security. That would be swell. Unless, Sondsol, you had something you
Uh,
wanted to follow up on with this.
I could argue with him on this. I don't like. It just seems like all of his arguments seem to be contradictory, because uh, one of the things that we can see reduces the amount of or the amount of immigration, right, is remittances, because that means that less people need to come to the United States. So that right there is hurting his case for more people coming into the United States. Also,
You can
when
press them
people,
on that if you want.
but
No, remittances are shown to decrease the labor force in the native country.
no, you're talking about brain drain.
I don't know what brain drain is.
Brain drain would be the people that are coming here, right, that are sending the money back, right? It's not the
No.
remittances. The remittance.
Hold on, let me see if I can find this. Continue on though.
Okay, we're there's just like no case to be made for remittances are inherently bad. Um, like, what is it? Jamaica has 18% of their gross national product is remittances, right? But like they're just like, if they go to another country, they're having to be exchanged for their currency, and the place that exchanges that currency, generally speaking, takes the dollars and reinvests them into the New York Stock Exchange or into something in the United States. So the money like ultimately comes back to the United States fairly quickly, and it increases the amount of capital that goes into that country, which would lead to people in that country not starving to death, and thus lead to less of a push factor for those people to leave their country and come into the United States, right? The remittances are the money that comes back. The brain drain is the people that are leaving the country. So if you're talking about reducing the labor force in that country, you're talking about brain drain.
No, I'm not. So I just sent in private chat another study right here, just at the very beginning. The pros are in terms of basically the country receiving them, the people in them having just more money to buy stuff. In the cons, the first one, remittances can reduce labor supply and create a culture of dependency that inhibits economic growth.
A better understanding of their impacts is needed to order to formulate specific policy measurements to get benefit the okay, so it's but
Yeah, I'm not
uh,
prescribing policies to fix the solution. I'm just saying that if we had less immigration, that remittances would go down.
but I'm just not seeing what the problem with remittances are. Okay, we can move
They
past
increase
this.
exchange rates, which cause our imports to rise. But
Right,
yes, we
but we
can
don't
move
know if
past this
the
if you want.
benefits, but you're not explaining to me why the benefits that we're getting from immigration out doesn't outweigh the cost there, right? Because that doesn't necessarily mean anything.
Right.
If we
He's
like,
looking for a
yeah,
direct
right,
answer
but
on this, BNC. What he's looking for is he's saying, look, if the money's getting sent back to these origin nations, okay, then that in turn should keep people in those origin nations. That's his point. So
Yeah,
he's
but
saying,
we don't
hey,
find that to be the case. In the
okay,
thing I just sent,
that's
that it
not the
creates
but
it creates labor problems in those countries. If there's a labor problem in that native country, they're going to look to go somewhere else to fulfill the needs of their family, and they're going to go to somewhere with economic opportunity, like the United States, and it's going to be a cyclical process.
it doesn't say that it does. It says that it can create a culture of dependency, but it doesn't say that it like absolutely does. And it says that this is something that needs more study, it says. It doesn't have any like specific uh prescription or like descriptive fact. It's saying that it needs to be in like researched more, but we're going like deep down into it.
Yeah, so we can move
And it
off
can
of
also and
remittances if
like
you
yeah,
want, but
well,
we
no,
can move
not
off of it.
now. So no, Sondsol wanted
we
to
can keep
stay on
saying.
it. Sondsol wanted to stay
Well,
on
he
it,
said
and
we're
now
getting deep
he
into it,
has
so I
to live.
assumed he
He
didn't
has
want
to
to.
live with it now.
It,
So his
it's
point
fine.
to
Like,
you,
but like the like if we're talking about like we want to exert like fuck because the arguments I'm going to make are going to be about like soft power and what kinds of things we're seeing like with like trade and stuff outside of the US, and if we're going to send any kind of like foreign aid to these countries to in order to like have them uplift so that those countries would be more able to trade with us, or we can exert soft power in that area. But that's going to get so far off topic of immigration. I don't know how deep you guys want to
Well,
go into.
if we didn't really have the immigration and these people stayed in their countries, there would be a need for labor. They would have labor for any labor shortages, and that would stimulate the native country's economy,
That's
not
not
needing people to
necessarily
come over
true
here for
because
economic growth.
when people are unable to, if there's no incentive for people, if there's like, say in Nigeria, if they weren't able to like leave Nigeria after going to medical school, right, and then send money back, then a lot of people probably wouldn't feel, and this is borne out in data, right? They, here, fuck, I have a quote up here, but um, b- basically the gist of it is like when people go to college and get a degree, there's usually an incentive so that they can have a better quality of life. And a lot of the time in these third world countries, people go to college and get these like high paying jobs like doctor or something like that because they have the possibility of moving to like the United States or to Europe or some place like that so that they can have a better quality of life. And it decreases their incentives if we don't allow those people into our countries, right? That would increase our quality of life and allow them to send some money off to their family so that their family also has a higher quality of life.
Well, and then
You're
we're
saying this
just
like
back
it's a
to the
zero sum.
cyclical
Well,
well, then
really
we're
quick,
back to the
I'm
cyclical
like
nature of that
last
country
sentence.
Yeah, let
not
him finish
I
his
having
just
good
point.
yeah, I just
Let
want
him
to
finish
say
his
that
point, and then I'll give you plenty of time to
economics, yeah,
respond.
economics is not a zero sum game. You're saying it like just because like this just because this country is losing this labor that they're necessarily losing out on something intrinsically. But the real answer here is that everybody wins in these situations where they can increase their quality of life because they can, they feel incentivized to get those high quality degrees.
Now, I'm
so
going to give
every
him plenty of time to respond to
Yeah,
this, but
absolutely.
just so you know,
We can move on to culture after this.
when you go into an answer like that and it becomes rambly, it becomes difficult for people to follow what's
I
going on.
understand.
All
No,
right, go
I
ahead,
heard it.
BNC.
I heard what you were saying with the doctors in whatever third world country leaving to go somewhere else. But and then you said the point that it benefits everyone. Well, that's just not true. It benefits the people in the country they go to, maybe, and it benefits the individual. It doesn't benefit the people of the country that they came from because again, we get the cyclical nature of you're just getting this nice degree to leave your country while your country still remains a shithole. So if we didn't have that, then these people, these high skilled people, would be able to work in their own country and help build their own country back up. Um, so yeah, I don't know if you want to go back to
Okay, this yeah.
culture, if you want to stay on
The,
this.
the last thing I'm going to say here is this: they're like I can throw studies. I know they're not debate Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I can throw studies at you guys that show that what you're saying is not true, right? But it like we can see that the incentive for people who get these degrees that go to other countries still have an incentive to send money back to their families and also share the knowledge at like later on in life after they've increased their quality of life to share knowledge with their home nation and make it to where their home nation has its building blocks to rise up itself. Like they're economics isn't a zero sum game, so everybody wins in these situations. Like there are no losers, there are no winners. It seems like everybody wins in these situations. It sucks that they're coming and leaving their country and stuff, right? Because they don't have opportunities there. But why would we not allow the labor to go to its most productive place?